Okay, this is for frequency. If we know band 1, band 2, band 3 is going to come out in our schematic too. So this is for RF cellular. Maybe we do not sort out in the antenna switch at the front end module FEM, or get to RF cellular that we will trace it should be based on this generally written this. So band 8 it is 900 megahertz, so we can check here again. So last time we discussed a Verizon. So Verizon, his carrier is Verizon Wireless here for 2 times using 900 and 1800 used for UMTS, or 3G using band 1 2100. So yes, it is actually the same benchmark. So I repeat again, we later add the time to repair the damage to this phone is our business on the user interface that was delivered. Okay, continue to run out. It's the second concerning system affair ranges from power management to the processor. Processor means there are 5 processor functions that must be available: application processor or AP, baseband processor or BP, graphical processor GP, digital signal processor DSP, then the last 5th is ISP or image sensor processor, or for camera processing. So there are AP, BP, GP, DSP, ISP. It is a function processor that must be on the computer. That is also on the computer, right? Main processor, that is, for example, for a graphical processor, we usually call this as VGA chip, or maybe VGA card, which this is connected to PCI or PCIe, so it must have its own function. While on the computer, we may not need a baseband because it does not deal with the RF cellular, but in the phone there should be AP, GP, BP, DSP, the last ISP for the camera. I can present it now. This is a list for example, Snapdragon families. For Snapdragon families, so we can see his family Wikipedia here. So starting for MSM, mobile station modem means is a solution that will be function CPU or AP, GP, DSP, ISP if the baseband processor is modem. So there is AP, BP, GP, DSP, ISP is complete. And if we look at for example MSM 7225 means he support for a maximum of 5 megapixel camera. So a rear camera, front camera, whatever it is, if sum up he is only capable of 5 megapixels to set, but this is for 12 megapixel. So yes, maybe they put a rear camera for 10 megapixel and the front camera for 2 megapixel, so this is support for 12 megapixel. We can see this all his family Snapdragon here. Yes, there are how many MSM, how much can be seen all here. The list of Qualcomm Snapdragon or can also see on our books. There is also there is a summary of all this. Okay, so our affairs are not only to the user interface. The user interface has been submitted. Affairs about the system is also the same business processor, the same business affairs, power management unit affairs, the same place of storage of data while RAM, the same permanent data if the temporary data is storage RAM. it is only used at the time the processor is processing the file. For example, the user following image wants to open the image, then the image will be taken from the ROM, loaded to the RAM. Our ROM may be bigger. If my computer where the data may be 1 terabyte, well, my RAM is not up to 1 terabyte, right? Maybe it is only 6 gigabit or 8 gigabit on the computer, right? At the time I want to run the application, for example, an image that will be called put in the RAM, down in RAM. So if talking about RAM or temporary data storage, is at the time is being executed by the processor. I test first whether it is new. I first active blinking and show focus. Well, the components have come out. Yes, the focus is essentially a component of LCD data 0 connected to the somehow many component. We see the socket here, it is LCD socket. Then if the example want to know how it series in the schematic, we just click the right one is the same. This is mean C1701, this is C1701, shows this one C1701 while the schematic, so you can just click right there, so you don't need to search it for manually. So this is all automatically. For example, this one is have 34 pin for sure data O, or this is pin number 13. I think this can help you guys in working faster, and this will be connected to the LCD data O. This is no longer speculation anymore. For looking LCD data O to where, just copy, continue and pass and find and search again, and yes, surely he directly connected to the CPU. Yes, that's what we'll describe in the image on the left or bitmap. So if we choose LCD data O, our choice there are only two components, that is J17013. If we click directly, automatic large directly shows the point which as U801 is the one of processor or CPU is definitely the same, must be accurate. Let's see, we continue here. U801 if about B, well, this is exposure in schematic can be how many pages. For example, in Huawei Honor 8X Max that we discussed this here is 41 pages schematic. Well, to expose U801 total X this much, it means you use several bits and function. All things connected to the each do not use cable, generally use radio frequencies, the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth or mouse. If for example our mouse that we use on the computer does not use cable, means yes, it is called wireless mouse, must be radio frequency. Either the transmission is 2.5 or 5.0 GHz, reduce the Bluetooth Wi-Fi in that frequency. Okay, so our current business as a technician should be easier. I hope once so much easier. So we just choose the damage, yes, of our affairs that for example, the problem that are facing is LCD blank or blank LCD. Just click, and then in the LCD problem it involves any path. Here data show with a total 15 lanes So here there is LCD data O, there is LCD data 3. Because this is a MIPI, then there is LCD data P and LCD data N. Continue to add one more, this LCM data 3 P and LCM data N, means for use for data lines. So more or less provide data communication to the display. The result of processor than the GPU, the LCD is the same, okay, like the VGA cable or LCD concept in a general. So if you say LCD, it means the output of VGA card or output the LCD screen. It uses the same data lines as our VGA or HDMI cable. That must be this data line on the phone that we are discussing at the moment. It is 4 with MIPI. Then the total line there are 8. All of them no longer need to be studied. No need to study manually anymore. I hope you guys help with this interactive pad business again. So you can see the mentoring book section in the Indonesian language book. You can read it in the mobile phone hardware 1. Just open it there and read the concept digital electronic transmission. So the concept of digital electronic transmission is familiar with the existence of data and the existence of clock, because the clock is guided line or benchmark in the reading of data. Actually, in the cable there is electrically up and down. If it is fits up, the name high or true or 1. If the fits down, the name low or false or 0. So it's up and down, just 1100101100. So what we are talking about, whether in our computer we open hexa editor, if the image we put in the hexa editor, so like this, continue, yes, and the amount if we want to know the original from the can open using a calculator. Open the calculator if the entry of the data programmer view friends from hexa megabyte. Yes, we type yes, now will appear here FF 11111111, means that if things in the cable so electrically, there is no there is. If in D8 there is nothing, there is nothing. Then in a binary language it will be interpreted as D8 there is no, or 1101100. If this long, all the names of digital electronic for the concept is like this. Want to send a picture, want to view the picture, want from the camera to processor, it's long, of course. So only a simple picture, if not finished within in a 1 second or less than 1 second, right? So in accordance with the capability of the processor, so our processor, if we open with the processor mentioned if ability in the hertz processor, or how much gigahertz, because it's the ability he processed the full wave 1 per 0 per second. If 1 giga, yes. If a million, it's a mega. If 1000, yes. If it 1 kilo gigabit, but billion, so he can process a full wave of billion in 1 second. It's just that picture is not finished. Yes. So we continue. So 110101111 empty, keeping talking, and it's being processed inside our processor. Okay, to read that 1101101 or its digital equivalent used electrically is the value of its discrete is lost and the honest of bit, well, that we need a clock, so do not surprise if open to LCD display we will be able to hear in addition data line 4 to 3, maybe if to the more recent case, yes, on the iPhone, yes, starting from the iPhone 8, iPhone 6, iPhone X, it's there is we copy or clone. It is, for example, not accordance with the LCD ID secure data or conflict data that is in NAND, then the feature is not active. So yes, we are forced to have a copy from IC in the old. What if the LCD of this phone came broken, glacier, but original in the current Raptor, it was not his LCD 1-to-1. If it is, the person doesn't feel not really important for the structure is active because the service is 2 million. So we asked them a later day. Disposable cable steam, we can also read data and change data in the ROM. Yes, the config data that can be read later can be that data will be copied to the LCD, or yes, we can write it into our NAND is a problem yet, because until now, yes, it has no verified the LCD data to the server. Who knows at the time later like it, because the Wi-Fi era, if not wrong, yes, it's just his camera of a data MAC address, it's not suitable. Finally, his phone even failed to activate if at this time the LCD is not so free. If at this time LCD is free, want to copy LCD can even NAND change using LCD KV or fake LCD. Use it's whether his ID it's more or less. So I think really, yes, this is the data path that need to be analyzed. If for example, you guys click here, then there will be a choice put in the socket and the IC. It is appropriate. It is impossible to miss because of what we adjust with the existence of schematic. Then, for example, we talk about LCD data 1 and anywhere then he came out. This is yes FCP. There is J. This there C. This is we want to find out again. The path is like that. So you can find VSP LCD anywhere from here. Okay, we continue. For example, the problem that we discussed yesterday, a little bit about PMU input, make our user interface is clear. Yes, the pattern is so the same business SIM card. We want to business a camera, want to a fingerprint business, want to business with SD card. If there's must be it must be so, but paid off, yes, right? The second damage of a system I share to be simple here to the main part of the first part. Initially, the first of one is PMU input. Our business is the same, anything starting from battery plus. This means the entry of the socket used to be the connector, whichever we click directly showed to the connect connected component, so this is automatic. For example, there is a problem about the battery temperature or thermal battery. Whichever component there is a U201 in the socket, there is a J1601, this one. This is the battery temperature. In general, the same affair battery temperature, but a damage loss. Charging is the most common thing. There are mobile phone, if the temperature is too hot or too cold, then there will be order to turn off or fail to turn on. For example, mobile phone is too hot, or if in Vivo, even phone is too cold. And then if the iPhone is too hot, yes, it is too hot. People want to, it's related to the battery temperature. Temperature usually read the concept of using NTC thermistor that is in the battery, but the circuit can be damaged, so the battery with replaced. There's a mobile phone that healed. Yes, that's a mobile problem is thermistor in the battery. So whatever all cases of the battery temperature, it's just because of the battery, right? The battery is already using another battery and normal battery installed, but the problem is still there. And yes, it's clearly not that's the problem. The PCB circuit from which this we just click the component. We can use this display to measurement as well, starting from the measurement of obstacle in the passively, or also this is actually if in the series is turned on the phone is turned on the battery temperature will get a voltage injection. Its name could be called in a VTS bias. So yes, it could be as pull up, pressure goes up. At the time NTC thermistor was connected to the ground because NTC it's negative temperature resistance coefficient. At the time the resistance temperature dropped it NTC, so when the temperature rise, he will be more connected to the ground. So the battery connector, the temperature will be connected with the ground in his battery. That's the term of NTC or negative temperature coefficient. So he does not heat if this connector will again connected to the battery because in the battery is connected with the ground, because the heat temperature resistant to the ground so down to more connect him, then the voltage in the battery temperature will lower, will be more familiar. The more he connected to the ground, then the potential difference value will drop. So when the battery voltage, this temperature will fall because it is increasingly connected to the ground. Then assume the temperature is too hot. For example, the battery, we do not heat the engine. We don't need to heat the battery. The battery is normal, means that the problem that with this example to read the temperature is the case later whether he is well connected, whether he gets VTS bias well. So yes, so the voltage can be measured. That once again the points can be used measurement of the obstacle in the example for a suspect disconnection of short to ground. The second, we got this active analysis of voltage VTS bias. There's generally use 2.8, 5 or 3.0. There is use 1.8 but must exist with his mobile phone record must be turned on. In a PMU input, we talk about there are conversion result from bad plus or battery plus. We see like this positive battery that yes, everything will light up like this, that is connected to the positive battery. If the mobile phone in the passive battery achieve everything that goes into the ICRF power amplifier, enter maybe into the power supply, enter maybe connected to the SIM card, but on the phone right now SIM card is using 3.0, so in the mobile phone that is until the SIM card, but nowadays shortly 1.8, no more SIM card using supply 3.0 does not exist, and all SIM cards now use 1.8 as a VCC card. This battery can be to any circuit, but if the more mobile phone now it's a series of a battery. This is so simple. So he go to U201. There is a focus, yes, where this is to IC power management unit is in the diode. There is those capacitor. If yesterday there is a no focus, show focus, we become confused. If now there is a focus, show focus can be activated, which is discussed, which directly to purple color. If different move, so you guys do not be confused later. Also in here usually we type want to know C1604 schematic, which because its name is the C1604. Yeah, this is a band plus line. So the band plus line, yes, this converted change in U201. Here we'll have output from here. It's called V-point power or VPH power, PWR. On this iPhone, it could be function implemented by Tigris, so VDD or VCC. BQ has a Texas instrument contain gold pills, or there is a SMB is a Qualcomm. Yes, most technicians know it's as a IC charge, because actually this also does not charging process. It is not seems wrong, but it seems the main function or this first function is not about charging, is power switching. It is indeed a switching from input from charger input from the batteries charge its other which then that is utilized by PMU, which is it, and that's what's switching from the power bed of VBED. It will be the name VBH PWR, so bed plus was going to be PWR VPH or V-point power. Yes, if we want to use if we want to measure the twinkling VPH PWR at this time, we just look for the component U501, which U501 or the U201 that's produced it earlier. This can be shown well. Okay, the U201 and the U501, if we are absent in the schematic, also we can try know the VPH PWR from U201, so it's become V-point power. So U501 is entered as input V-point power, so this is input VDD SMPS1 and VDD SMPS2. V-point power for input the source voltage for SMPS2, SMPS3, SMPS4 and SMPS5 was using V-point power in U501. Until U501 can produce this voltage is the existing coil same SMPS their VREC S1B 1P125. There is also VREC S2B 1P05. This means the voltage is 1.5 voltage, and continue to SMPS3, SMPS4 and SMPS5. Later in the LDO section, we will discuss from the voltage of its SMPS could be input LDO, for example, parts from LDO parts, the input of weapon power or out SMPS. Its turnout for the input voltage LDO 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. It use inputs from the name VREC BOB, VREC S2B 1PO5 was using for this LDO 1, 9, and 10. This is his LDO output, so therefore if we come back here, so without bother we just know this, we can directly know weapon power is produced from U201, this from his feed IC, so you can measurement here from his feed. If the input is feedback approximately 4 volts, U501, this means that this one was U501 from PM660L is used weapon power. Here use instead to be input for various SMPS. Later his SMPS result what is also used again used as input various LDO to LDO assortment. LDO is used to supply that. If you guys want to know output SMPS and LDO is anything, this PMU output and SMPS it's a right. We just click here. Well, this is LDO, all LDO and SMPS output that is in this phone. That's all that need to be there. At the earliest time, it is turned on. No. This is a no voltage. This is no voltage SIM card. There is a voltage camera. Why he think right now there is a voltage maybe in a peripheral. Whether this voltage is measurement all for the mobile phone is that total. The answer is not. When we measurement here, a lot of LDO output that is too much. We don't need that. So that we need to pay attention in our business. Our business was the same as this user interface settled. I'm looking for the possibility of breaking the line or short to the ground where absent anywhere is not DC again. Stay in the absent course. Now we talk about total depth starting from the power input, and then we talk about power output. Well, up to the power output. What are the power outputs of SMPS LDO? So our IC will consist of SMPS and LDO. There is a PM660, same with PM660L. So this you guys are looking for at the type here is the PM660 of where he crystal or but we don't discard this first. This is his business, his problem charging function. There is a so he's been using this Qualcomm. U201F on the page 3. If open the schematic, well, this is what regulates. He has SMPS output. There is VREC S1A, VREC S1B. So this is IC power A. There will be IC power B. Hence his SMPS name S1B S2B. Function for the breathing of electrical charge at the voltage source. For example, battery of full gauging function. We can check all of this live, where at the point if there is a one to check, just click on his pin. Let's test if it's done. Yes, it doesn't happen after on off, or the audio output is safe, but this is even less than it should be. So if it is less than should be analyzed until we are here. We don't have to take it all means this. I repeat again a little. We just need to make sure the voltage from the power management unit U501 or U201, that is PM660 and PM660L, was already available. Well, we are absent in the first three things are to the AP, to the application processor, but call it then we complicated the processor need. Processor in this case means U800. The processor needs RAM, needs eMMC or ROM, or for example use UFS. Yes, it must have been met first from the power side. If the IC failed to distribute one of the needs of the three components, then the mobile phone will fail to boot to the next stage. So yeah, of the LDO output voltage, yes, we just stay looking for the example. This one we see if there is here U801. KMDH6001DM, we see in the EMC table that there are already read, maybe you read KMDH6001DM. It is right that it is have ROM 64 and RAM 4GB. U1502 here as U1502 VCC-Q voltage. You guys want to easy C1813 there, C1812 there, C110. Look for the tasty meaning that is not in the can. It is U801. Needed so that our processor can live and then can work in on the initial boot stage until this is done with either the CPU is on the EMC or storage ROM on, and then the RAM is ready to work because it has got the voltage needed. He complete everything needed. We miss one on one earlier. Yes, there all means should have been answered. Yes, there is a voltage reset B. Okay, if it is done, then the CPU should load SBL in the EMC. And of course, RAM should be work to able to stage to the next boot. Maybe if you're suspicious of the damage to his EMC, I give this yes. Can be you guess afterwards potential because it's silence because they are next to each other. Who knows the time after which for the purpose of removing this, or maybe the glue, so it is you too hot. After this you pull out, this is too hot. After we remove and replace again, use the EMC, the other EMC. This do not want to work. You want to guys, you guys try EMC 3 or 4 times, but apparently forgot the use of obstacle in this lane. Don't forget data, that the data data is connected to where the U801 is, which foot is this. So for example, if we warm up too much until the foot of the ball inside the U801 is, for example, problematic because it is exposed to excessive heat at the time he bought it, regardless of the obstacle in it. That is at point in the U1502. Turns out there are no obstacle in, so want to be fitted EMC several times. It is useless. Because it is no for the CPU, so it is proven by when measure here to his CPU is still right there. Willis turns out there is no obstacle in maybe his MMC letter pairs you fix this letter. This until must be obstacle in first all good data 0, data 1, data 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bit data path. So if for example this enough go out, do not afraid, because there is other legs and legs there are still many friends. This friend then the CPU which also know this must all be obstacle if the gray one, if the blue it is foot not connected or NC, or do not use ignorance of the blue. But if the color is yellow, it must have a path. Friends, you can looking for this while as well as obstacle can be. We have not provided for the RAM a lot problems, but before that there are friends and can certainly take advantage of this anyway in time you AMC. You guys can read the book in the Pragmafix application in the EMC in the third book. You guys also be given the opportunity to directly click the path if you want to looking for the available from the category boot problem and net name and components more or less. So from me, thank you for the pay attention. I am sorry if there is a mistake, and bye bye and good evening for you guys. Thank you.